While delivering food on Valentine's Day, she discovered that her penniless boyfriend was spending a fortune to hold a coming-of-age ceremony for Miss Lynn. It turns out that my boyfriend, who had been with me for 3 years and had no food to eat, was actually the son of the richest man. I silently handed the cake in my hand, turned around, rode my electric scooter back to the rental house in the cold wind, packed my luggage and left overnight. Later I heard from a colleague that after that day, my ex-boyfriend searched the entire city like crazy, but there was no trace of me. The next time we met was at a charity auction. At that time, I had already held his uncle's hand. Boom boom boom. After checking the box number again and again, I carefully held the exquisite cake in my arms, then raised my hand and knocked on the door, then quickly step aside to prevent the person inside from hitting the cake when opening the door. After all, half of this 3-layer cake with a beautiful bow is equivalent to 2 months' salary of mine. The doorknob turned, but the door to the next box opened. A pleasant female voice sounded. She said sweetly, "Everyone is welcome to attend my coming-of-age ceremony." Coming-of-age ceremony. I lowered my head silently. What was I doing when I turned 18? I seemed to be celebrating too, but not celebrating your own growth. But from that day on, I could submit more resumes. Before that, I was struggling with the cost of college and was repeatedly rejected for jobs because I was under 18. The bright light in the room hurt my eyes, but I couldn't free my hands to wipe my tears because I was holding the cake. Forget it, Chen-hee, you are not worthy of dreaming about something like a coming-of-age ceremony. I told myself, you still have yourself and your boyfriend to support. Although I thought so, I was still fantasizing wildly. When I have money in the future, I will definitely ask my boyfriend Shushan to hold a coming-of-age ceremony for me. Just fantasizing. Suddenly a voice came to my ear. I want to thank my boyfriend Shushan. Wait, why did I say what was in my heart? I frowned and looked up at the box again. After confirming it again and again, I realized that this was not my hallucination. The girl said again, "Let's raise a toast together to thank my boyfriend Shushan." The next second, I heard the slightly doting voice of my boyfriend, who was supposed to be doing odd jobs at the express sorting station. What boyfriend? That's nonsense. I tried to tell myself that this wasn't true, but I can't. I am very familiar with Shushan's voice. For many days and nights, we squeezed together in a small rental house, took turns taking a shower where the hot water could be cut off at any time, ate steamed buns with pickles, and shared a discounted tea egg. I will quietly call him husband. He also tapped my nose and said this to me. "What nonsense are you talking about? It's nonsense." Then he pushed the half egg in front of him towards me, pretending to be disgusted. "I never eat eggs. You can eat them." I always thought it was a lie he made up to get me to eat a few more bites. But now, I heard him say to the waiter who served the food, "Don't eat such low-quality eggs, throw them away." It turned out that he really disliked it. The door in front of me finally opened. I hurriedly handed over the cake. And even though I was so heartbroken, I didn't forget to say a word. Please give me a 5-star rating. After all, the reward page is right after the evaluation page. People like them who can afford to order tens of thousands of cakes can give me a tip if they are in a good mood. Maybe I can make chicken soup for Shushan next time. Oh yes, Shushan doesn't need this cheap chicken soup now. I turned and left, and when I passed Lin Suesue's box, I paused. Then he lowered the brim of his hat and walked away quickly. Chen-hee is such a person, I don't even have the courage to question. After returning to the rental house, I took out my cell phone and called Shushan. The beeping sound lasted for a long time before Shushan picked up the phone. As soon as I got through, I keenly heard familiar laughter. I smiled at myself. It's hard for him to leave his good sister so many times and go to a quiet place to answer my call. What's wrong, Xiaohe? Shushan smiled brightly. I'm working here. I found that I didn't even want to expose him anymore. I asked, Shushan, have you ever been to the old palace in Kyoto? Xiao here. Do you want to go to Kyoto? Shushan said with a smile. I'll take you there after I sort out another 8,000 pieces. Then we can rent a car and drive into the old palace. He suddenly stopped talking. But I understood. It turns out that he has always been a high-class young man who can drive a car in. It's not what he called a homonym. He is Shushan, the son of Shu Cheng. the richest man in S-City. I hung up without warning and booked the earliest flight to Kyoto, go to the city of my dreams. Do you like it? The man next to me turned his head and asked me, in the dim conference hall. Only the bright gem on the stage reflected the eye-catching light. I nodded gently. I like it. The man chuckled and placed a soft kiss on my lips before raising the sign, 20 million, this price. With its determination to win, brought silence to the venue. I smiled at him gently, then got up and went to the bathroom. Chen-hee, a familiar yet unfamiliar voice came from behind me, mixed with surprise and disbelief. I turned around and was face to face with Shushan's complicated expression. Chen-hee, is that you? He asked me cautiously, standing still. I know I am no longer the same as I used to be. In the past, I always wore cheap sweatshirts bought from street stalls. They were neither windproof nor warm, but they were cheap and convenient. He always wears a bright yellow delivery uniform on the outside. I didn't have time to take care of my hair in the past, so it was always a mess like a bird's nest, and there was always a greasy stain on my face that couldn't be wiped off. Now I am wearing a high-end long dress. The soft fabric fits my graceful body curves, every strand of hair was carefully groomed. And the exposed arm was no longer the sallow color it once had. I shook my head, wanting to tell him that he had the wrong person. But the next second, Shushan grabbed my arm. I won't make a mistake. You are Chen-hee. I was pulled unexpectedly and almost fell down. Shushan was quick to support me. He stroked the teardrop mole at the corner of my eye with trembling hands. Chen-hee, where have you been all these years? Pa. Shushan covered his face and looked at me in disbelief. Then turned to look at the obvious slap mark in the mirror. I shook my hands and asked calmly, does it have anything to do with you? Why is it not a problem? Hearing this, Shushan's eyes became red again. I never noticed that he was so fond of crying before. He tried to grab my hand, but I pushed him away. So he took it back awkwardly. Didn't I tell you the other day that I would take you to Kyoto if you sorted some more packages? He demanded. Why didn't you leave without saying goodbye? I opened my mouth and my thoughts were brought back to that night 5 years ago. Facing the cold wind, I headed straight to the airport. The funniest thing is that at the last moment of leaving, I didn't even want to call a taxi for myself. But originally, I was just a girl who had just graduated from college. The money I used to support Shushan wasn't enough for him to buy chips for a card game. But it was enough to save me from having to work so hard. But now, I find that I don't even want to expose him. Where's my coming-of-age ceremony? Shushan. Having said that, I still want to disgust him. Shushan was stunned, not knowing whether he was pretending to be stupid or had really forgotten. Didn't we agree to get another one after we make some money? You made money. I laughed sarcastically. Then why do you want to explain why you showed up at this auction? I looked at his suit. You're still wearing such expensive clothes. I didn't miss the flash of guilt in his eyes. But soon, he straightened his back. Didn't we buy this at the 100 yen store the year we graduated? I saw him trying to pretend to be calm. It turns out that people really laugh when they are angry. I am not a fool. Nor am I a blind person with a bad memory. Even if I don't understand, I have worn enough nice clothes after following Shu Jinyang for these years. I have to go now. I didn't want to waste any more time talking to him, so I turned around and left. At this moment, Shushan's mind seemed to have come to a sudden realization. He stood in front of me with a pale face. You saw it that day, right? He didn't say it, but we both knew it. I saw that day he extravagantly asked the waiter to throw away a whole plate of eggs to celebrate Lin Suesue's birthday. Xiao here, give me a chance, I can explain. His calling me little crane made me feel nauseous and I almost vomited out the food I had eaten the previous night. I retched in disgust. Don't call me that. Shushan's expression froze, and just as he was about to say something, Shu Jinyan's voice suddenly came from outside. Ah, what happened? I hurriedly responded. It's okay, I'll be right out. Turning around, I suppressed my nausea and said in a low voice, excuse me. Without even looking at Shushan, he was stunned. And let me break free from his grip with a lonely look. Is he calling you? Of course no one answered him and I walked out. What took you so long? Seeing me come out, Shu Jinyang considerately put his coat on me. I met someone I knew and we talked a few words. I shook my head and didn't mention Shushan much. There was a clarity in Xu Jinyan's eyes that seemed to see through everything. For a moment, I thought he knew that the person inside was his nephew. Then why don't you take me over and show me off to your friends? But the next moment, Xu Jinyang still chuckled and hugged me in his arms. I kissed him lightly on the lips with a smile, trying my best to forget the bad luck of meeting Shushan just now. Is the auction over? I asked. Xu Jinyang shook his head gently. Not yet, that's why I came to tell you this. I have something to deal with at the company, so I'll take the driver with me, then you can go and do your work. I can go home by myself later, I quickly said with understanding. Silly boy, how could I leave you here alone? Xu Jinyang flicked my forehead amusedly, and reached out to put the necklace on me. I've asked the housekeeper to send someone to pick you up, but you just need to wait a moment. I nodded obediently. It's okay. Xu Jinyang seemed to have something really important to do. He gave her a quick kiss and then left quickly. I thought about it and decided not to go back into the venue. This is my first time back to Qingcheng after 5 years. After putting on the ruby necklace, I wanted to go out for a walk. It turns out that when you're unlucky, you can run into your ex-boyfriend anywhere. The auction venue was next to the river. I confirmed that the driver was stuck in traffic and would take another half an hour to arrive, so I strolled along the riverside with peace of mind. As I was walking, I saw Shushan's haunting face from a distance. I wanted to pretend I didn't see it. But he was already walking towards me quickly. Please give me one more chance. Okay, Xiao here. I didn't hide this from you on purpose. Didn't I make myself clear enough? I looked at him, speaking each word with emphasis. Shushan, we are done. Love it or hate it, it's all over. No matter what Shushan's purpose was in teasing me, it's over. At least, if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have gone to Kyoto, and I wouldn't have met Xu Jinyang on that flight. We are all adults. And it would not look good if everyone got involved in a fight to the death. I want to keep some dignity for myself. Don't be like this, little crane. Shushan's eyes were red. I sneered. He must have been extremely moved. I'll say it again. Don't call me that. I looked directly into Shushan's eyes. Do you think I know nothing, Shushan? He was stunned for a moment. Know what? Things have come to this point. But Shushan is still pretending. We met in college and have been in love for 3 years. But I forgot that your good sister was also there. How long do you want to continue this story of pretending to be moonlight to redeem a loveless girl? But I really love you. I can't leave you. As Shushan spoke, his voice actually started to tear up again. I admit that I approached you with a purpose in the beginning. But, Shushan said as he took a step forward, he lowered his brows and eyes, and I couldn't see his expression clearly. Don't people say that love can be cultivated? Everyone makes mistakes. Can't the 3 years we've been together offset my momentary confusion? I sneered. Who did you come with today? He seemed not to have expected my question to be so sharp and was speechless for a moment. I understood. Lin Sui, right? Your good sister who grew up with you. Don't get me wrong. I really just think of her as my sister, he explained humbly. I looked at him like I was looking at a stranger. The Shushan of the past would not be like this. In fact, I should have noticed the clues a long time ago. He would seem helpless when arguing with others, which did not seem like he had lost his father when he was young and had been struggling with rumors for 20 years as he said. On the contrary, when I hugged him to comfort him, he would casually say at worst I can just compensate him some money. At first, I asked him this question jokingly. Do you know Xu Cheng? The real estate tycoon in S-City. His son has the same name as you. Stop teasing me. At that time, he smiled helplessly and dotingly. Same name, different fate. But how come such coincidences always happen in this world? Whenever I think about these things, I still feel depressed. Shushan, have you ever told me even one true word? I threw the bag in my hand at him. How does it feel to fool someone's feelings? Can't you just let me go? There was a flash of hurt in his eyes. Shushan, I said I can allow you to make mistakes. I calmly repeated word for word what I had said after he confessed his love to me. I used to not believe that there would be such a good person who would love me, and I once thought that I was not worthy, so I told him and myself that I allowed him to be imperfect, but a relationship that was mixed with water from the beginning. No matter how low my self-esteem or how much I lack love, I don't want it. After the words were spoken, there was a long silence. We stood on the bridge, looking at each other in silence. Brother Shushan. Suddenly, a clear and urgent voice came from a distance. Sway sway, it's cold outside, why did you come out? Shushan was stunned, and subconsciously frowned and blamed Lin Sway Sway, who was running over from afar. I miss you. Lin Sway Sway smiled playfully. Why, you won't let me. Seeing how affectionate they were, I turned around and wanted to leave silently. Suddenly, Lin Sway Sway called me. Your name is Chen He, am I right? She stood in front of me and slapped me in the face without warning. I was stunned, and Shushan was stunned too. When I saw Lin Sway Sway pretending to be angry, I felt that it was unrealistic and absurd. Isn't that the ruby on your neck that was auctioned at the venue just now? She tugged at my arm proudly and said. This gem was bought by Shushan's uncle, who wanted to give it to his wife. You are so brave that you even dared to steal this. But luckily I found you. Don't run away, I have called the security guard. Shushan seemed to have just noticed it at this moment, and looked at the necklace on my neck with complicated eyes. Little Crane, he swallowed hard. Where did this necklace come from? I came to my senses and suddenly laughed. While laughing, he cursed Shushan 800 times in his heart. Who are you pretending for? Since you like acting so much, I'll cooperate with you since I have nothing to do. Shin, don't you believe me? When I raised my head again, tears were already on my face. I didn't steal. I pointed to my red face and asked, why did she hit me while I was acting? I was thinking bad things in my heart. Shushan keeps saying that he still can't let me go, so whose side will he stand on this time? Shushan was silent. After a long while, he struggled to squeeze out a few words from his lips. It's her fault that Sway Sway beat you. But this necklace was bought by my uncle for 20 million. He didn't finish his words, but the rest is self-explanatory. I, Chen He, am a poor guy. In the past 5 years, even if I spin myself like a top to death, I can't earn so much money. Xiao here, even if you are poor, your ambition cannot be poor. He looked at me with a strange look of pity, and also disappointment, as if saying, how did you become like this? I stared at him closely. Shushan, are you pretending too much, or am I just this kind of person in your eyes? I was stupid and thought that after 5 years, Shushan's acting skills should have reached a higher level. Unexpectedly, compared to his previous poor performance that made me confused, he actually regressed a lot. I didn't say anything else, and soon, security took us all back to the auction. Xu Jinyang was also called back by the people at the auction. Meeting Xu Jinyan's gaze, I lowered my head silently. The only thing I feel sorry about is that I delayed him from going to the company to handle some matters. I'm sorry, Mr. Xu. This situation in the auction house was our negligence. Regarding the theft of your necklace, we will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. At the same time, we will also increase the security of the venue and will not allow the same thief to come in again. He sighed helplessly and was about to speak. But I interrupted the manager's long speech before he could. Excuse me, Mr. Xu, can we solve this privately? The manager looked embarrassed. Are you scared now? Lin Sway Sway snorted and laughed. It's too late. I tell you, Mr. Xu will definitely. Good. What? Lin Sway Sway's expression froze for a moment. I breathed a sigh of relief. It was worth my making faces. Xu Jinyang finally understood what I meant. Mr. Xu, this is too bad. We cannot let this thief go. Xu Jinyang glanced at her coldly, but said to Shushan, take care of your girlfriend. Since when do I need her to tell me what to do? Shushan frowned and tried to explain. Sway Sway is not. That's enough. Xu Jinyang interrupted him impatiently. No matter what your relationship is, as an illegitimate daughter of the Lin family, don't take yourself too seriously. I glanced over with the corner of my eye and found that there was a layer of tears in Lin Sway Sway's eyes. I'm very busy. Please don't bother me with this kind of thing again. After he finished speaking, he stood up and walked out, leaving me with a message, follow me. I followed him happily, ignoring Shushan's gloomy face. As soon as we got into the car, Xu Jinyang pulled me into his arms. Does it hurt? He gently stroked the slap mark left on my face by Lin Sway Sway. I nodded aggrievedly. Unexpectedly, he pinched my face hard the next second. I cried out in pain. This is to teach you a lesson. Xu Jinyang said with a bad look, if it hurts you, why don't you fight back? Or are you hiding something from me? I sighed. As a veteran who has been in the business world for more than 10 years, he can tell at a glance what I want to do. Yes, I could have called back right there and then. The Shu family is the richest family in S-City, and Lin Sui is an illegitimate daughter. She has no capital to challenge me, but I didn't, because I want this slap back at a more appropriate time. I have a plan. I chuckled twice, then leaned close to Shu Jinyan's ear. After hearing what I said, Shu Jinyang showed an expression of both amusement and anger on his face. Just for this, you let Lin Sui slap you for nothing? That's not the case. I quickly shook my head. I didn't expect her to really do it, so I just went with the flow. He was speechless and could only nod. Okay, if there is anything you can't solve, remember to come to me. I gave him a kiss on the face. Good. When I returned to the apartment Shu Jinyang bought for me and just lay down, my phone notified me of a missed call. I looked at the number and felt like I had seen it somewhere before. Hello. As soon as the call was connected, Lin Sui's angry voice came from the other end. How's it going, thief? Has Mr. Shu sent you to the police station? What are you thinking about? I fiddled with the bright gemstone with my fingers. Mr. Shu gave me the necklace. What? Lin Sui's voice almost pierced my eardrum, and I had to hold the phone farther away. Surprised, I asked calmly. There were a few rapid breaths from the other end of the phone, and then Lin Sui became quiet again. It doesn't matter. Although I don't know what means you used, you should stop thinking about snatching brother Shushan away. Do you still need me to snatch your brother Shushan away? I shrugged and switched my phone to the WeChat page. On the friend request page, a user's avatar was flashing desperately. Lin Sui, from what you said, isn't it Shushan who turned S-City upside down in the past 5 years? Lin Sui stopped talking. I think she must be shocked at how I knew this. Before she could recover, I stabbed her again. Also, the person you really like is not Shushan, but Shu Jinyang. How did you know this? Lin Sui was silent for a while, and seemed to have finally calmed down. Lin Sui, your acting skills are far inferior to Shushan's. I sneered. Today at the auction, when Lin Sui was scolded by Shu Jinyang, her eyes suddenly turned red. Once upon a time, when I loved Shushan so much that I was willing to give him my heart, I was in exactly the same state, and 5 years ago. The person who pushed the door open and came out of that box to get the cake was also Shu Jinyang. At that time, he was going to Kyoto to develop a new business, and it would take at least a few years for him to come back, so that night his friends organized a party to see him off. Coincidentally, it was me who delivered the cake. So I remember that before I stepped out of the hotel door, when I looked back for the last time, I happened to see Lin Sui standing in front of Shu Jinyang's door holding a cake. Maybe her true feelings were still hidden in that cake, but Shu Jinyang did not accept it. He slammed the door of the box, isolating Lin Sui outside the room. Although I didn't know Shu Jinyang at that time, Lin Sui's lonely expression and the tears that suddenly fell told me, she must be madly in love with this man. There was no sound on the phone for a long time. Just when I was getting impatient and wanted to hang up, she suddenly spoke. Can you please not tell Shushan about this? Please. I was shocked that Lin Sui would actually beg someone so humbly. I didn't have much interaction with her, but I saw her on the news a few times. But how could the little princess of the Lin family, who has always wanted to have her way since she was a child, ask for help? You're crazy, I cursed. I don't care about your shit. After saying that, I hung up the phone and blocked her. I am not a villain who likes to use something against me to threaten others, but no one who deserves revenge can escape. I'm not some delicate queen, not a good person either. From that day on, a lot of flowers and rabbit dolls would inexplicably appear in front of my apartment door. Without thinking, I knew it was sent by Shushan. I threw it away a few times, but later it became too much trouble, so I asked Shu Jinyang to throw it away before going home every night. Until this day, a series of postcards have been mixed in with the flowers. The above is Shu Jinyang's apology. I'm sorry, I was wrong, I shouldn't have fooled you. Please answer my question. Chen He, I know you live in there, give me a reply. See you at the cafe at 3 p.m. tomorrow, why don't you come? In addition to these, he also wrote down the reasons for what happened back then, stroke by stroke. For example, He was just feeling bored for the moment. And was stimulated by Lin Sway Sway and a group of his friends, so he decided to pursue me in a fit of madness. For example, later on, he was really attracted by my strength and kindness, and the initial bit of mischievousness had long been washed away by the passage of time. At first I didn't care, thinking it would be a good idea to give the small pieces of paper to the cleaning staff as waste, but the more time passed, the more horrified I became by the words on the card, and sometimes I would see suspicious figures wandering downstairs through the window. Even the cleaning lady in the corridor began to secretly remind me that I might have offended someone I shouldn't have. I finally couldn't help it and wrote a reply on a card. I'm warning you, if you put anything at my doorstep again, I will call the police. I am a piece of trash, but I still create trash. The next day, a bloody card appeared at my doorstep with only 3 words on it: sorry. Does he think that this will move me and make me forgive him? Ridiculous. I turned around and showed the card to Xu Jinyang. What do you think, Jinyang? I hugged Xu Jinyan's waist and put my head on his back. Xu Shen's mother died when he was young, so his personality has always been a little strange, and my brother rarely cares about him. At this point, Xu Jinyang sighed softly. So, what he said may not be false. His feelings for you are really special, but no matter how special it is, it has nothing to do with you. I'll take care of this matter, just don't worry. I don't know what method Xu Jinyang used, but on the eve of the Xu family dinner, I never saw Xu Shen or anything related to him again. Isn't this too grand? I stared in amazement at the long line of dresses before me. Xu Jinyang patted my head and said, after all, this is the first time I bring you to meet my family, so of course it should be a grand occasion. We were too hasty this time. His tone was tinged with guilt. Otherwise I would have taken you to order 2 sets of clothes. It's okay. I hugged his waist tightly. That's it. What I want is Prada. Not crying like Xu Shen. Hurry up and change. It's almost time. I nodded obediently and picked out a red dress at random. I didn't dare to wear this kind of skirt before. I look pale and skinny, and wearing red and green will only make me look like an ugly duckling wearing a swan's costume. But Xu Jinyang has been supporting me for 5 years, and I have an easy day at work, and my skin has long since returned to its childhood fair color. Let's go. I took the initiative to hold Xu Jinyang's arm. The moment we entered the Xu family villa, the surroundings became quiet. Xu Shen's father Xu Cheng came forward eagerly to greet him. Elder brother, Xu Jinyang whispered. I nodded slightly and shouted along, but he never let go of Xu Jinyang's arm. This is my sister-in-law, right? Xu Cheng didn't look down on me at all and shook hands with me warmly. I smiled and turned my head slightly, and saw Xu Shen in the corner, tightly clutching the glass, and in the darker place, a figure flashed by, looking at me with unclear eyes. Go eat something first, I want to talk to Mr. Yi. Xu Jinyang turned his head and let me go. The surroundings were very lively, with people toasting each other and talking and joking. At a certain moment, the scene seemed familiar for a moment. Seeing this, Mr. Yi smiled and complimented. Mr. Xu and his wife are so loving. Don't talk nonsense. Xu Jinyang chuckled and shook his head. My steps froze for a moment. She hasn't accepted my proposal yet. I finally felt relieved. I almost thought the scene from 5 years ago was happening again. When we reached the corridor, Xu Shen grabbed me and pushed me against the corner. Mrs. Xu, he gritted his teeth. Did we break up? I kicked him mercilessly and cursed at him. Xu Shen, do you have any shame? I've already told you that I didn't mean to lie to you. Why won't you give me a chance? Okay, I can give you a chance. Xu Shen's words were stuck in my throat. He stuttered and looked at me with suspicion. Xiaohe, are you serious? Yes, I shrugged. First transfer 50 million to my card to prove your sincerity. Xu Shen immediately put on an expression that said, I knew it. I've been playing house with you for 3 years. I looked straight at Xu Shen. It doesn't matter that you are from a wealthy family, but tell me, how many 3 years do people like me have to squander? Xu Shen, when we started dating, I was 21 years old. I'm 21, which is the best age for me to do anything. But I wasted 3 years with you. Did I tell you that I hate it most when people lie to me? Xu Shen's lips opened and closed, and finally he fell silent. Yes, he must have remembered. I said it more than once. What about you? Do you dare to say you love me? Of course, otherwise why would I work several jobs to support you? Shushan stared at me coldly. Then why are you with my uncle? I looked at him mockingly. On that night flight, I was upgraded to first class because of the weight distribution of the plane. You must have sat here often before, right? Come to think of it. I've only been away from you for 3 hours and my luck has improved so much. But this was my first time sitting in first class, and my first time on an airplane, and I didn't even know where the seat adjustment button was. Shu Jinyang was right next to me. He didn't look down on me for being stupid at all. He patiently helped me pack my things. Unlike you, once, Shushan laughed at me in the street because I couldn't find the right screws for a bicycle. I used to not believe that someone would be deceived by a yellow-haired guy with a cup of milk tea, I scoffed, but now I believe it. So this is why you hooked up with my uncle. It has nothing to do with her. Shushan and I were both stunned and turned to look at the person who came. Shu Jinyang was wearing a well-fitting suit, standing against the light, with an indifferent expression. He walked straight up to me and took my hand. I hooked her up. Shushan was stunned, and so was I. I whispered, "You don't have to." I hooked her up. Shu Jinyang interrupted me and repeated, "Shushan, do you have any problem with me, uncle? You don't have to be like this. You don't even know what kind of woman she is." Shushan seemed to still want to save the situation and slandered me with all his might. "She is vain and materialistic. When she is with me, she only thinks about money every day. She always complains that I am useless. If you hadn't lied to her first, why would she do this?" Shu Jinyang rolled his eyes at him. "Do you think I haven't checked? I knew it the first day she and I were together. What about you?" Shushan's face turned pale. "She just wants your money. I'm not afraid that she's after my money. I'm not broke anyway. I'm actually afraid that she doesn't want anything. If she leaves me one day, I won't even know how to get her back." Shu Jinyang snorted and laughed. "Unlike you. The so-called digging 3 feet deep in S-City is just pretending to be affectionate." Shushan's face turned pale and he clenched his fists tightly. But Shu Jinyang had good reasons and was his elder, so he couldn't say anything. "Let's go." Shu Jinyang didn't even look at Shushan and put his suit jacket on me. "You can't take her away." Shushan stood in front of us. Shu Jinyang said expressionlessly, "Get out of the way." "I won't." Shushan shook his head firmly. "Uncle, she's still my girlfriend. We haven't broken up yet, is that so?" Shu Jinyang looked at me. I shook my head. "Shushan, have you ever formally confessed your feelings to me?" Shushan was stunned for a moment. "Then we will be together for 3 years. Did you hear that?" Shu Jinyang's eyebrows sank. "She said you two are fine." "She hasn't heard my explanation yet, uncle." Before Shushan could finish his words, he was punched hard in the face. Shu Jinyang shook his wrist. "Trouble." He led me back to the front hall. "Please everyone be quiet for a moment." The business celebrities who were toasting each other stopped what they were doing and the conversation gradually faded away. Shu Jinyang took me to the front of the stage and took a ring box from the waiter beside him. "I welcome everyone to my dinner today, and I hope you can bear witness to my presence." After he finished speaking, he faced me and knelt on one knee. "I am here to propose to my girlfriend Chen He, the creative director of Kyoto Flower Design Company. Will you marry me?" I stood there in a daze, my thoughts unconsciously drifting back to 5 years ago. I secretly called Shushan husband, but he sternly told me to shut up. And now, an influential business tycoon is kneeling in front of me, holding a diamond ring that represents sincerity and money, and asking me devoutly if I am willing to marry him. He knew my past. And then he showed me a sense of security by giving me the position of a wife who could provide him with support. After a long while, I whispered, "I do." There was prolonged applause from the audience. Suddenly, an abrupt female voice sounded in the hall. "Brother Shushan, what's so good about that woman that you can't stop thinking about her?" Lin Suesue's voice was filled with tears. "Aren't you just acting with Chen He? Are you really moved?" Shu Cheng looked unhappy when he saw this. "Ms. Lin. Our Shu family is small and cannot afford to raise a daughter like you. It's not appropriate to recognize them as brother or sister." His words were a clear slap in Lin Suesue's face. Despite my lowly background in their eyes, Shu Cheng could still greet me with a smile, but was extremely impatient with Lin Suesue. However, Lin Suesue is no longer a pampered little princess. After hearing this, Lin Suisui stopped staying by Shushan's side and ran out crying. This time, Shushan did not chase after me or coax me, but looked straight at me with complicated eyes as I was glowing on the stage. Halfway through the banquet, I quietly found Lin Suisui, who was sitting outside the Lin family villa and crying. Her eyes were swollen like walnuts, and she looked heartbroken. "How dare you come?" to my face. Before she could finish, I slapped her. "This time, I should return it," I said in a calm tone. "I've waited so many days just for this moment." I already knew Shu Jinyang would propose. Since Lin Suisui loves him, let her watch the man she loves put a wedding ring on the woman she hates. That's enough to hurt your heart. Lin Suisui, do you know why you are sitting here now? Lin Suisui shook his head. "I went to Kyoto for 5 years and met Shu Jinyang on the plane on the way there. I sat down next to her. But we really met and fell in love after I became the creative director of Hua High. I studied art design in college, and later acted with Shushan for 3 years. Almost, the grease from the takeaway would have covered up my talent." "Thank you, Lin Suisui." She was confused. "Thank me for what? If I hadn't seen the coming-of-age ceremony he held for you that day, I wouldn't have made up my mind to leave, let alone come this far. Do you think everyone loves a delicate vase? When I have money in the future, I will definitely ask my boyfriend Shushan to hold a coming-of-age ceremony for me. Shu Jinyang doesn't love, otherwise the person standing here now might be the creative director of Hua High, but not me. Your father doesn't love you either. Otherwise the Lin family company wouldn't have fallen into the hands of an illegitimate child, even though you are also an illegitimate daughter. Even Shushan doesn't love it, he just enjoys the feeling of everyone revolving around him, of course. I know you don't have the ability to be a vase." I stood up and brushed the dust off my skirt. "I know the Lin family is on the verge of bankruptcy. As a rising star in the business world, Shu Jinyang can help you in more ways than one. You're trying to get out of your situation, but I feel sorry for you. I really do." My face looked normal, neither sad nor happy, of course. Only I know that when I look at Lin Suisui, I seem to see my past self. We also don't have the courage to escape. So we can only wander around in the predicament. But Lin Suisui, if you have the ability, then love more purely. On the one hand, you hate Shu Jinyang for not loving you, and on the other hand, you keep circling around Shushan. You, like your love, are not worthy of being on the stage. Pa. Lin Suisui smashed the wine glass he was holding tightly. At this moment, Shu Cheng's voice happened to be heard in the room. "I am old now, and the company will be managed by my younger brother Shu Jinyang from now on." This sentence means that Shushan lost his inheritance rights. The rest of his life will be in my hands, and I have plenty of time to take revenge on him. I looked at the night sky. The moon was still the same moon. Lin Suisui beside me had stopped sobbing at some point. I said, "If there is a chance, please tell Shushan for me. I held the 18th-year-old coming-of-age ceremony that he promised to give to Chen He in Kyoto.